Welcome back to the full guide to sourcing your products in China. Today we're going to speak about how to order your samples, what mistakes to avoid, how to save money on it, and what's the whole process, when you should order samples, what you should order samples of, and the whole thing. I'm going to share my screen with you later, and we're going to go through the whole process step by step. The goal of this guide here is to give you better content and more knowledge actually that you can learn here than in other paid media. So I know that there are people out there that teach things less in depth that we go into in this guide here that charge money for it. So I want to save you a few $100s here. I want to save you the hassle of going out and finding, looking through what's the best course, what's the best training. I want to give you the whole thing here for free. In the last video, we went through the whole process of, getting quotations, filtering suppliers on Alibaba. I gave you a contact template that you can use to contact suppliers, right? So that you can avoid kind of the back and forth with suppliers and all of the hassle that usually comes with it. And also today I have a template for you. Now, this whole process works if you're sourcing private label products for Amazon. It works if you're sourcing products for your Shopify store. If you order, customized products with your samples, private label product. This process works for all of it, and we cover it all. So make sure you get your pen ready and paper ready so you can take some notes, because we're going to dive in just a minute. I just wanted to kind of clarify for everyone that's new to this channel, for everyone that's just found this video. If you haven't watched the first video, I highly recommend to go back to that, because in that video we cover kind of basics and baselines, and we just pick it up from where we left off there. For everyone that's new to this channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notified when the next video of this series launches. You need to do that so in order that the YouTube algorithm knows that you're actually interested in this and that you don't miss the next video, because I'm not sure when we're going to put part 3 out. So this full guide consists of a few parts here. I'm not actually very sure how many we do. Maybe we do 4, 5, or 6. Kind of depends how far we come through. I don't want to blow up the content here. I just want to go as quick as possible through all of the things that you need to succeed in sourcing. Sourcing can be really, really daunting, and you can have a lot of headaches in the process. But actually, if you follow the right steps, sourcing in China can be easy peasy. Okay, so make sure to subscribe to this channel and let's dive in. You might be wondering, what's the catch of this video? What's the catch? Why would I give away all of this content for free? And I would just want to be honest with you. I hope that you like this content, that we can start building a relationship. And in the future, you stumble upon my paid trainings or, our sourcing service or any of that, and you hire my team in the future. But that's, for now, it's just wishes and hopes. And everything that we go through is completely free. And the templates that I have for you also in the end of this video, I have a template for you that you can get without, we don't need your email address. You don't need to pay for anything. We don't need to join a Facebook group or any of that stuff. Okay. So you just go get the template in the end of this video. It will help you to go through the process of getting your samples, getting your quotations, communicating with the supplier. So before we go into the sample kind of process, I want to clarify the whole sourcing process, and I kind of map that out on the screen here for you. It's so important that you understand what's the sequence and what samples to order, because there are 3 kinds of samples that you need. If you have a private label product, you need 3 kinds of samples. If you're selling it on Shopify, if you're selling it without customizations, without your logo, without custom packaging, you only need 2. Okay, so let me just go in the computer and draw this up for you. Okay, now here we're in the computer. We see the screen. We see that there are a couple of quotations in here, simple quotes from suppliers that we filled in. And this is basically where we left off last time. Okay, and we're going to cycle back to that in a minute. I just want to draw up the whole sourcing process for you, just kind of step by step how that works, because it is so vital that you understand what samples to order, when to order samples, and what samples to order. Because a lot of people get that wrong and order customized samples with their logos from tons of suppliers, and it doesn't go right. None of the samples that you get in the customization process will be perfect from the get-go. People are wasting hours and weeks actually of time here, and I want you to avoid that. So let's look at the whole process just from a high overview. Very first, what you have, you go, for example, you go on Alibaba, right? You go on Alibaba, you have a ton of suppliers here, okay? You wanna look through all of those suppliers here, and kind of filter out whose listing looks good, who has a good product, who, looks good from the pictures and whatever's on the page. And again, go back to the first part of this video because we're covering all of that in that video. Go to the channel and you will find it in the channel. Okay. So what we're looking at, we want to look through around 40, we want to have around 40 suppliers that we look at this stage. Okay. So we have 40 suppliers that we want to look at, that we want to reach out to with the template that I gave you, and just get simple quotations. Simple quotations is just basically what you see on here. It's, we want to have their name. You want to know their link to their Alibaba listing. You want to have the location of them and the FOB prices. So FOB is just, it includes everything that comes with the product. And we're going to go in details of that later. And you want to know the lead time. These are the basic things that you need to know here. No more. Okay. For now. So, after we contacted these 40 suppliers, this is our sourcing funnel right here. Usually in this channel, we talk about sales funnels and e-commerce funnels and all of that kind of things. Today, let's talk about a sourcing funnel. So you reach out to 40 suppliers and you get simple quotations. Once you have those simple quotations, you put them all in a file like that. So you can compare them side by side. You can see, well, this guy here is really expensive. This guy here takes long time to actually deliver the items. So kind of you filter out and you say, hey, which of these suppliers, after contacting them, did I even get an answer? You know, you won't get an answer from all 40 of them. But it seems like a lot of work, like 40 suppliers. Oh man, it's like, I gotta contact them all. Trust me on this, you will save huge time. The more suppliers you contact now, the more time you will save later on. So what we want to do now is we want to filter down to around 10 suppliers here and kind of say, okay, this supplier is out. This supplier is out, and you just want to see and filter through how many suppliers you need. Okay, so after you go on Alibaba, you make like you filter down to where you have the simple quotes. Okay, the simple quotations. Drawing skills aren't the best here, but it doesn't matter. So we have around 10 suppliers. So you see it's getting less and less suppliers for each step. So in this step, you have 10 suppliers. And from these 10 suppliers, you want to get detailed quotes. Okay. So once you have the detailed quotes, and we're going to go in there in a minute, that's where you have all of the questions answered that you need. Those questions could conclude how many units are in one box, what's the exact packaging, what are the dimensions, what's the weight, what are the costs if I change the packaging, how to put my logo on it, what kind of options do you have here, can we pay via PayPal, all of those things, and we're going to go through them in a minute. Okay. This is you want to compress that. You don't want to go and do all of this for all of those suppliers here. I see this mistake a lot, that people reach out to all of these suppliers and bombard them with all of those questions. That's not how we do it. Okay. We want to go and ask those detailed questions to a selection of like 10 suppliers. Okay. Then we filter again and we say, okay, now we got all of those questions back. Some suppliers fall out again. And now what we want to do is we want to order a sample. Okay. We need to decide, to find your supplier, you have to have two things. You have to have the quotations, the full detailed quotations, and you need to have a sample to see the quality. So from these 10 suppliers, we want to filter them down to 5 suppliers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 suppliers. We want to go to 5 suppliers to order simple samples. Okay, that is what we want to do. We want to have simple samples from those 5 suppliers. After you have those 5 samples, that's when you want to look at all of those samples, and you want to look back at the quotes so that you can compare. And that's the moment when you choose your supplier, and with that one supplier, with that, you move forward to get customized samples. Customized samples meaning you get your logo on the product, you get custom packaging and all of that stuff. One of the biggest mistakes that I see is people going in and ordering samples from all of those suppliers here and get tons and tons and tons of trying to get all of those samples in with logo, with changes, with all of that. And it doesn't work. Okay. The process to do that with one supplier might take you a few weeks because you have to go back and forth with that supplier because they will not get it right the first time usually. Okay. So what you want to do, you want to have the customized sample. That is what you want to have from one single supplier. Okay. One single supplier. The German guy trying to spell English, supplier. Here we go. So one single supplier, and that's what you want to do the customized sample with. That is the sourcing process. And then with that one supplier, you go forward. Okay. So now that that's clear, let's look back at the detailed step of this. Okay. So we contacted 40 suppliers and we got our simple quotations. Okay. That's these. We've got all of those simple quotations. We're going to filter through all of those simple quotations and go to the next step and say, okay, now that we have those simple ones, let's filter to 10 suppliers. Then you want to contact those 10 suppliers and ask them specific questions to filter that down. Okay. So let's just look in here. By the way, this whole template here, you can get the whole contact template and I will share that link with you in the end of this video. You can't find it in the description. I will share the whole link for you, with you for this template so that you have all of those questions. It's very important now at the moment, before you even ordered samples, that you are clear that this could be a potential supplier for you, right? So you want to ask them questions that are related. If you put them on Amazon, you want to know how many units are in one box. What are the dimensions and of the box? How many units are in one box, and what's the dimensions of the packaging of each unit, and what's the weight and the dimensions for each box? So all the data for the unit and then all the data for the box. You have multiple units in one box. It's important to know that for your shipping price later on. And it's important to know that for Amazon, because if your package, for example, is bigger, than your 23 kilogram, Amazon doesn't accept it, right? So you have to make sure that you follow the regulations here, and that you can go back to the suppliers, at certain points, right? You want to know if the supplier offers custom packaging. Hey, do you offer custom packaging? Can we change the packaging? Can we use another packaging? Can we do all of those things? You want to have those questions clarified before you order a sample. Again, the sample that you order here is a simple sample. That sample has nothing to do with your changes, with your custom packaging. But you need to make sure that your supplier is able to do that later. Okay, so like I say, simple sample first to choose a supplier, then the customized sample only was one. But you need to know all of those details to make sure, to make sure that you should even get a sample from that supplier. I hope that's clear. Now, what's the cost to change the packaging, and also for the logo? What's the cost to kind of customize this with you? And is it possible at the current quantities? Like you quoted me 100 units, then I want to order here. Is that still possible when we do customizations, or does your minimum order quantity, your MOQ, does that go up, right? You want to know all of those things. You say we would like to use our own forwarder. Even if you don't, just say it here, because you want to have the quotations that you got as FOB price. You want to have them without the shipping as well, so that you can kind of see what's the actual product price and what do they put on top for shipping. And then could you please send me all the certifications that you have for the product? Some products have an FDA approval. You have electronics that need different things. You have food related items. There are different certifications that you need. And it also depends on your country where you're selling them and kind of what you actually need. Also, you want to know a little bit about payment options. Hey, can we pay with PayPal? It's a small test order. Can we do that here? It's not necessary. I always recommend like use PayPal or use Alibaba, so that you have a insurance on that. Okay. That are the questions that you want to clarify at the spot before you go through ordering the samples. Okay. This is this spot here where you filter it down, where you go through your list and where you say, hey, we have all of those suppliers. Let's break this down and let's filter through who is the one that we want to go with, who is the one that could be interesting, right? So you end up with 5 suppliers. 5 suppliers, that's the ones you should order the sample from. And I know that some of you say now, well, Niels, look, 5 samples, I have to pay five sample fees, I have to pay 5 times the shipping cost. Trust me on this, you want to have multiple samples because you want to compress the time here. You want to get going as fast as possible because your competitor might go and say, oh, I only order 1 sample from this one supplier. I think that looks good. Probably in the selection up here. So if that person does it, they get the sample, they look at the sample, oh, that doesn't look, that the quality isn't good. And then they have to go back, find a new supplier, get another sample. It's so hard to go through all of this process if you don't have a bunch of samples on hand, right? So don't be cheap about it. You have to order the samples. Now, how can you actually save a little bit of money on that? I always recommend you to have someone in China that can help you sourcing, whether that's a sourcing agent who can help you with the whole process anyway, which is usually my recommendation. I just want to go with you through the process once you understand how it works so that later on you can control your agent, or optionally you can always do it yourself, right? So when you order those 5 samples, you can send them to one person in China. You can hire someone on Fiverr or on Upwork that can consolidate your samples. You want to do that because the sample cost, the main cost on the sample, is not the sample itself. And people say, well, why would they charge me for a sample anyway? Like, I might be business for them. Look, there's so many people inquiring products and there's only a part of those people actually placing the order. So they would just ship out samples for free all the time, right? So don't worry about the sample cost. The biggest sample cost here is the shipping of the sample to your country, not the sample as well. And if you get a simple sample, they won't charge you $100 to customize the sample, to put your logo on, to go through all of that trouble. Okay. So send that to one person in China. They put it in one box and you only have to pay shipping once. Okay. So you ask all of the suppliers to send it to one person. They consolidate it. They send you one box instead of ordering 5 separate samples from 5 separate suppliers, right? So that compresses your overall sample cost here. I hope that's helpful. And by the way, leave me a comment below what other questions you have. Maybe we left some things out, maybe we left some things open. Let me know what are your questions. And in the end of this video, I'll give you the link where you can download all of those questions and the contact file, okay? So now it's time to send a message. Go in and go to these 5 suppliers, send them a message. Hey, say, hi supplier, I would love to see a sample of your product. Could you send me a sample? Maybe they have variations of products where you want to see different samples. This is a great moment to do that. Say, hey, we just want to have a simple sample, whatever you have laying around. For example, this one here. He has so many different samples. Could you send me all of those just so that I can kind of compare and see what's the difference? So you just have them put a bunch of samples in one box, send that to you. Ask them to include the standard packaging. Say, hey, please include the standard packaging. I would like to have a look at that so that you can get an impression. How does that actually look like? So that's what you want to have. You want to have the product and you want to have the standard packaging that they have. Include a screenshot of the product again when you send them the message. You want to have this picture here in the actual message so that they don't mess this up and don't mix this up. Okay. Give them the address where to send it to. If you will send it to yourself, cool. Just give them yours. If not, ask your sourcing person, the person that you found on Fiverr. Ask them for the address, send it to the supplier so they can put the samples all with that one person so that you can save the costs here. Also, that one person might already look into these into the packages and see which ones can be thrown out already. right? One of the biggest mistakes also when you receive the samples is and I've done this so many times, you get excited, right? You see the samples like, wow, this is going to be my product. So cool. For me, it's always like Christmas, right? You get all of those deliveries. You look at it and you unpack it all and you check the quality. I say, oh, this one is cool and that was cool. And then you totally forget which box did they come from. Right. And this is the huge problem here because you want to know what suppliers they come from. You have this file here with the supplier names, right? So you want to make sure that you label all of those products when you get them out of the box and you know, okay, this belongs to supplier number 1. This belongs to supplier number 2. This is to supplier number 3. You need to have that because if you mess that up and if you mix it up, you have a huge problem here. So I give you the link right now where you can get this file here, right? So this whole file, you can get that at the link, and that is easypeasysourcing.com/contact template. This is a link for you where you can find that. Again, we don't need an email address. You don't need to join any group. You just go there, you land on this page, and you have the file that you can have. If you have questions, let me know and make sure that you subscribe to this channel because the next video is going to come very soon. In the next video, we're going to speak about customization. So after now you chose this one supplier, you have the 5 samples, you have the quotations, you make your choice now. You say, okay, this is a supplier I want to go with, right? Then with that supplier, we go into customizing the process, the product. We're going to go into the process on how to do that in the next video. Okay, it's actually a fairly simple process, but you have to follow the right steps. And like I say, if you try to customize your products with all of those suppliers here, you're going to get in big trouble. Okay, it's going to take forever and it's going to take all of your time. Get the 5 simple samples at this stage, and then most of the work is already done. Okay, so when you're here, you can congratulate yourself. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you want to hear about, especially when it comes to customizing your product. And like I say, if you haven't watched the first part of this video, go ahead and do that latest now, and I catch you in the next video.